make this is because nobody has made this yet. It's always about the Cummins, you know, and stuff like that, and that's what everybody's after, the Cummins. I understand that, you know, nobody really wants the gas ones, but we're going to go ahead and make this video. I'm really aiming at a 98 model Dodge 1500 with the 318. Now, the 318s are bulletproof. You'll have minor things that you need to do, like sometimes the head gasket, the intake gasket. You might have to change the plugs. You know, just simple maintenance on a 318 is all you have to do. And they usually tick for like 250,000 and up. I've seen them have a lot of miles on them. But the downfall is the transmission that's in them. The transmissions are hit or miss in these vehicles. I've seen these trucks go a lot of miles without the transmission giving out, and I've seen a lot of them just give out. So that's something that you have to keep in mind if you're going to buy one of these trucks, is be prepared to have the transmission rebuilt. Because the reason a lot of people sell them is the transmission is acting up, and they doctor it up and they sell it to somebody, then the transmission goes out. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure when you get them rebuilt now, I think they can beef them up a little bit so they're a little bit stronger. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're buying one of these trucks. Now, another thing with these trucks is common is the rear end going out. Remember, the two major things is the rear end and the transmission. If it's a 318, as long as it don't overheat and everything, they're going to tick a little bit. Usually exhaust leak. Now, when you go to change the manifold gasket, you probably will twist off, I think they are 10mm bolts, so you'll have to extract those out of the head. But the 318 does tick a little bit. It does have a little valve train noise. Let's go ahead and get to the little stuff that just irritates me. Number one is the dash. The dash, every Dodge that I've seen has a dash like this. It's all busted up. It just explodes for no reason. It just cracks. One way to fix it is put a new dash in or get a dash cover. Now, the seats, the driver's side is always ripped and wore out. It doesn't matter if it's vinyl or cloth, it's always ripped or wore out. Another thing with these trucks, the radio. They have like a little bit of wiring problems. And another known thing is the heater core is always leaking, or there's just something wrong with the heater in general, stuff like that. Just simple stuff with this truck that drives people away. I've always liked Dodge. I've always been a Dodge fan, but growing up I didn't want to invest money into a Dodge because my family always told me, you know, they had transmission problems. My work truck is a 98 and it has 80,000 miles on it, and it does great. The transmission does act a little funny in it. It's weak. I think that's the problem. The transmissions are just built weak. If they would build these transmissions up a little bit, I think they would last a lot longer. But I love the looks, you know, of a Dodge. They rust. They will, I mean, they're just so cheap that they rust out so easily. It's really thin metal. Usually you find them with the beds rotted off of them, the rocker panels rotted off of them, the cab corners rotted, the floor is rotted, the fenders rotted. But be prepared to spend money on a transmission rebuild. That's just one of the major things that people steer away from, because transmission rebuilds aren't cheap, and if you don't know what you're doing, you can't do them at home. So next time you go look at one of these trucks, if you're looking to buy one, tell the owner that you want to drive it and let the thing warm up. Let the thing get up to operating temperature and go through the gears, drive it, make sure there's no slipping, because what they do, they'll slip, try to get up on a hill. You know, after they warm up, they'll start to slip, but try to get up on a hill and just go up real slow and see if it's going to slip. Take it up, you know, back up a hill in reverse. Try out all this stuff, because they'll doctor these transmissions up, but you got to really test it out. Make sure the vehicle is warm, and once you get the vehicle warm, like I said, you can test out the transmission, make sure it's not slipping, and you can also see if there's leaks coming from the motor or if it overheats. So when you're looking at a Dodge truck, don't just look at the body. Say you've seen something on Craigslist and the body's mint and you get so excited you start it up and it sounds good and you just go ahead and buy it. With a Dodge truck, like, you know, in the 90s and early 2000s, you really want to take your time buying one of these, because like I said, they have some major problems. If you jump over looking in detail, you know, you could be plagued with that. So it's another thing to keep in mind. And another thing with these trucks, are the Cadillac inverters. They like to plug up, overheat the truck, or cause the truck to have no power, and they tend to have vacuum leaks. So I'm a Dodge fan. I've always been a Chrysler fan. That's why I have Jeeps. I just started buying Dodge trucks. I just like the look, the fat look, and the stance that it has. And the newer Dodges, I got a 2015. They still have, you know, real fender wells instead of square. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you out. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Hit that little bell button so you know every time I upload a video. I'm Cherokee Ronnie. Stay dirty, my friends.